What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here for the 4th of July edition of the Sunday Weekly Market Update. Hope everyone is having a great holiday weekend out there. I know it's pretty hot here in the Northeast, but wherever you are, at least in the United States anyways, I hope you are having a wonderful 4th of July and exploding things, eating barbecue, drinking beer. America. Let's just go ahead and dive straight in. Like, comment, subscribe. You guys and girls know the drill. Quick news catch up. The PSA stuff, did the video the other day. Value services back open for everything and everybody. The piece of that I missed, which I didn't catch initially, was they are now grading star cards. The infamous, I believe it's 84 Jordan star cards. In the past, PSA would never grade. BGS was one of the only ones that would actually do it. PSA is now taking them. For those that don't know, the reason why a lot of grading companies wouldn't take these was they were extremely easily faked. So I don't know what Wizards PSA cooked up, what new spells they have in their book to, now all of a sudden want to grade these. But obviously they must have fixed something. Maybe Genamint is going to be able to work its magic on that. I don't know. But they are now taking star cards. Like I said, the bigger news there, in my opinion, is that Value Service is 100% fully open. We'll talk more about grading maybe as possibly as soon as tomorrow. But early this week, I'll do gem rates data came out recapping the month of June. So we'll go ahead and touch on that. There's a couple interesting tidbits in there that we'll dig into. I just haven't had time to sit down and really look at it. Maybe we'll dig back in and look at the Prism Pop reports. I did that video on Friday regarding the using Prism Football pop data to kind of judge one gem rate, which is interesting, and not gem rate the person, gem rate as in gem rate percentage. How it's been notoriously talked about that set's quality control is pretty bad, and the early results on the gem rate, both at PSA and SGC, back that up, and CSG for that matter. Small sample size there. But I really do think, and I understand, when I made that video, that we didn't have the full picture yet. That's stuff that's only been basically 1 month turnaround time or less. The point of that was to show where the early demand is going, and then two, so we could kind of see where it goes from here as bulk orders start to hit and the slower, cheaper value tier services start to hit the pop report, because it kind of gives you an idea of how people are utilizing the different grading companies. And I think Prism Football is a good judge of that. Obviously, PSA is leading the way because higher value people are willing to pay the premium for $100 express. SGC's high numbers are up there because they are turning stuff around so fast. BGS and CSG, we don't know yet. CSG's turnaround's pretty fast unless you're doing bulk. So, we'll see. We'll see how that all shakes out. It is something that I am going to monitor. I don't know that we'll do weekly updates on it. Maybe we'll do bi-weekly updates on it. I don't know, but it is something I'm going to watch. And it is something I'm going to track with basketball as well, since that product is just about to hit. NBA Prism comes out later this week. So I'll be tracking that as well. I talked to GemRate. He is going to set up some custom reports to kind of make that process easier. So we'll kind of be able to follow along. He's going to hook me up with a Google sheet and get me that data so we can look at it together. Other big thing going on this week, just this not necessarily in news. I will be at least 98% sure. I will be at Card Collector 2 Trade Night on Friday night. He is hosting a trade night on Friday. It is probably going to be one of the biggest ones that he's ever hosted. It's for 5 hours. And Rothcard's Taxi and Kenny Fornos are flying in for that one as kind of like co-hosts / special guests. And then I will be attending that as well. So if you're going to Card Collector 2 Trade Night on Friday night, that's this coming Friday. Sounds like it should be a doozy. And we are on the fast track to the National. That's the other bit of news. National tickets, 5-day passes, VIP passes have sold out. They are gone. No more. I haven't actually hit a card show since the Midwest Monster. I'm going to miss my local show next week, most likely, because I will be at I'll probably be spending the night in Columbus for Card Collector 2 trade night and come home on Saturday. So that means I'm probably going to miss my local show next weekend. But then it'll be the fast track to the National. There'll be a Dallas show in between. Very interested to see what vibes are coming out of Dallas. That's always a weird one 2 weeks before the National, and I think this one could be extra weird. We'll see what happens. Are we at the bottom yet? Are we still going down? Don't know. Let's go ahead and dig into some charts and graphs. Market Movers, link in the description down below for coupon codes and all that jazz. They got some fun stuff coming up. They really do. Some interesting things that they have teased that I have seen some glimpses of. So we'll see what the future of Market Movers looks like. I did something a little bit different this week. Since we're at the end of the month, I went back 30 days. So it went back a full 30 days so we could kind of see what the month of June looked like for everything that we're going to talk about, market pulses, etc. And I'm debating maybe one day this week, I'll kind of poke around and see if I can find something interesting in the old charts and graphs. Maybe we'll do a classic charts and graphs throwback. We're 6 months into the year, kind of look at the first 6 months of the year. What went up the most, what went down the most, that sort of nonsense. So we'll see. I'll poke around and see if there's something worth talking about there. First up, basketball, modern and ultra modern. The indexes for those over the last 30 days. Ultra modern, down 6.5%. Modern, down 12%. So we are off the highs of the playoffs, and we are in the bulk of the offseason. Obviously, the NBA has kind of been top of mind because it's the best time of the NBA season, honestly. Unless your team's in the NBA playoffs, this is the best time of year. Woj bomb season, to me, is my favorite part of the NBA. I love the NBA offseason. Love it. Crazy moves so far, and I should preface this. I am recording mid-afternoon on Saturday. The Darius Garland Supermax extension or Max rookie extension happened a couple hours ago. That was the last big thing that I have seen. So if KD gets traded in the middle of the night, I don't know about it yet. So we are running under the assumption that hasn't happened. I may do, once that happens and things kind of shake themselves out, maybe I'll do a complete free agency breakdown thing. But for the purposes of this, so far, the moves have come fast and furious, and now we're kind of hitting that little lull because I think there's a lot of deals being held up by the KD trade. Curious, we talked about this on the live stream, but people have had a little bit more time to pontificate on this. Curious for your thoughts and comments down below. Where do you think KD ends up? I personally think the best team for him to go to would be the Suns, just because of where they are competitively. I think the most interesting team, and he also kind of wants to go there. I think the most interesting team, and I think the one that should be aggressive for him, is the Pelicans. I think a package centered around Brandon Ingram, and they have a boatload of picks. They have their own picks, and they have the Lakers picks. Ingram, whatever else needs to be in there, and a bunch of picks for KD. Real interesting. I think that one's the most intriguing. I don't know if he would go there. I don't know how much say he has with 4 years remaining on his contract. That one intrigues me the most. I don't think the Heat have enough to get it done. Maybe a third team gets involved. We'll see. I think the Raptors are intriguing. They could probably go for him. I don't know if Scotty Barnes would need to be in that deal. I don't know if they'd want to do it if Scotty Barnes is in that deal, but I digress. But generally speaking, up until this point, the NBA market has been trending down. We have seen some little micro spikes off of free agency. We're going to run through some of these really quickly because I just found them amusing. DeAnthony Melton got traded on draft night to the 76ers. Actually a pretty good deal. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like that trade for them. That's a nice little pickup. Who says you can't make low dollar plays? I know a lot of people, we talk about more expensive things. Every once in a while, I like to throw some low dollar stuff in here. Here's one. The Anthony Melton Silver Prism PSA 10s were $7. They have spiked up to 30 post trade. That is a 328% change. So nice little come up there on the DeAnthony Melton Silver Prisms if you were hoarding DeAnthony Melton Silver Prisms, if you were buying on the low. But intriguing player for the 76ers. I actually really like what they've done so far. I'll be interested to see how the Harden contract shakes out. It sounds like he's going to give him a little bit of a discount. Here's another one. Troy Brown Jr. Actually made a decent little chunk of change, like 30, 40 bucks, flipping him on Star Stock way back in the day. He went to the Lakers, got a nice little bump up in price as well. This is another one, a little cheapy. $5 for his silver PSA 10 prism. Those wild times. Up to $25 now. So, if you were for some reason stacking Troy Brown Silver Prisms, you 4 extra money just like that. 5 extra money, actually. After eBay fees, probably 4x. Move them at 20, sell them at 25, you net out $20 after shipping or whatever. Hey, not bad. Not bad. That's how you build a bankroll. I really do think there's some interesting, I guess we'll call it dumpster diving, to be done on guys that are about to potentially switch teams in free agency, or just buying on the low. I'm not going to sit here and say, go find the next Troy Brown, but I think trying to find distressed assets in the sports card world is still a pretty successful way. You got to get a little lucky, and I think you got to kind of go with a shotgun approach, and kind of really spread out and hope you pick off 1 or 2, and it makes, in the aggregate, you end up making enough, unless you really believe in a player and go all in. But like I said, these little micro flips, you get guys like this cheap enough, hell, it can work. Jalen Brunson, PSA 10 Silver Prism. Obviously, he went to the Knicks. One is actually not, actually one sold on the night of the 30th. We haven't had a transaction since, but this is over the last 30 days on him. This card is up 80% from $112 to $200. The rumors have been that he's been going to the Knicks for a while. There was, some potential that he would stay with the Mavericks. Mavericks not really having the greatest of off seasons. I like the Christian Wood pickup, but losing Jalen Brunson for basically nothing is a pretty big yikes, just because of the way the NBA, roster construction works with matching salaries and all that stuff. But Brunson's off to the Knicks. We'll see what he could do there. We'll see if the Knicks pick somebody else up. I have a feeling the Knicks are going to be pretty hot and heavy in the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes, because let's be honest, Gobert's gone. I don't think there's any chance Mitchell is still on this team. I don't know if that happens after the KD move, and I'll be curious to see, do you think KD's prices spike after he gets traded, or does it depend on where he goes? If KD goes to the Pelicans, what happens to Zion cards? If KD goes to the Suns, what happens to Booker cards? What happens to CP3 cards? CP3, Booker, and Durant is a real nice team. KD going to the Pelicans. CJ, KD, and Zion, with Herb Jones and a couple of the other guys they got down there. Pretty good little team, depending on where he ends up. Does his stuff see a little bit of a spike? If Mitchell gets moved, if Mitchell got traded to the Knicks, does his stuff go way up? I don't know. But I do think Mitchell is going to get moved here this weekend, whether it's maybe not necessarily this weekend, but this off season. Tatum, one of the biggest losers over the last 30 days, down to $800 on his Silver Prism PSA 10. This thing is just really tanked. 1,400 down to 800, and it was actually up to 1,600 at one point in time. That being said, I'm not gonna lie, if I could trade in the Tatum Silver Prisms at $800, I would be doing it. Personally, it's something that is on my radar, is Tatum stuff. With the trade night coming up and the National coming up, if his prices stay down through the National, I will be intrigued. I think Boston's had one of the better off seasons so far, with the Brogdon deal and some of the other stuff that they've done. I really, really like what they have accomplished so far. I think that team is going to be very, very good heading in the next season. Nice little Tatum discount here. Here's another one. This is his green. I've said this a million times. One of the best looking cards out there. I've seen this card in person multiple times. I would really like to get one of these, probably in a PSA 9. But a PSA 10, this actually just sold the other night. I was watching this auction, actually. Down to 1,800 from a high of 2,700 about a month ago. 30% decrease, down $900. This is another one. If I could trade into this thing for around 1,800 value, depending on what someone will want off me, it would be a card I would have on my radar. Sucker for the color match. That's it for basketball. We'll probably be talking more basketball later this week, kind of depending on how NBA free agency shakes itself out. Like I said, I would like to kind of just do a general free agency or NBA offseason rundown on kind of how it impacts some of the teams once everything's kind of shaken itself out. So probably be a little bit more of a general sports discussion with a little card stuff mixed in, but how the individual teams do drive card prices. Looking at football very quickly, because we're still kind of in the meh period of football. Ultra Modern Football and Modern Football. Ultra Modern down 1% over the last 30 days. You can see it's had a little rally here the last couple days. Modern down 10%. Once again, a lot of that is driven by Patrick Mahomes. He had a pretty big tail off here in the middle of the month. You can see here his Silver Prism is down to $3,400. One has not sold for a while. That last 3,400 sale was from about a week or so ago, so we don't have a new comp on that quite yet, at least not a legit one. And I believe this little cliff right here you see on that pink line is mostly Mahomes related. One thing that I did run when it comes to football, and this is interesting, a lot of the hype guys are at least macro level trailing off a little bit. This is the price movements by player. I've used this before. This is where market movers will lump a player's cards all in together, and then you could apply filters. So I put PSA 10. This is Prism Optic, Select Contenders, and Contenders Optic. And then I put minimum number of sales of 5 and an average sale of $50 cards and an up ending number, just to kind of grab like a lot of those, you know, Herbert Silvers, Joe Burrow, Orange Disco Swirly Balls, like all that stuff into the group. And then I sorted this by number of sales, a cash number of sales. So it kind of tells you the players that are moving the most have the most cards in the database, to just kind of give you an idea of what's moving and what's not. And we can see a lot of football is trending slightly down. Now, this is at a macro level. We're not talking individual cards here. But as a player, you know, Herbert, 4% down. Burrow, 4% down. Mahomes, 9% down. And this is over the last 30 days. So this is the month of June. Josh Allen, down 12%. Tua, down 1%. Jalen Hurts, up slightly. Deshaun Watson, down 30%. Not surprising there. He might get suspended for the entire year. I hate that the Browns traded for him. Lamar Jackson down 4%. Kyler Murray down 8%. Jordan Love down. Justin Jefferson slightly up. Russell Wilson down 13%. Just kind of scrolling through here, seeing if anything notable pops out. Those are the big names. Drew Lock down 14% of all people. DK Metcalf up a few percent. Derrick Henry up a few percent. But of the players that really matter, pretty much most of them are slightly trending down. Once again, not necessarily every card. It's kind of a macro level look. But it's kind of surprising that it's June and we're kind of in, you know, kind of a dead period for football. I'll be very curious to see what July looks like, because when we get to the end of July, we're going to be at the National. And then right after that will be the beginning of the NFL offseason. Pro Football Hall of Fame game will be popping off. Drove past the Hall of Fame today. It was packed. Ending on baseball. Once again, 30 days here. Modern and Ultra Modern. Ultra Modern down 6%. Modern down 10%. And a lot of that is Trout is kind of having a little bit of a drop again. And then, you know, I saw Teapot talk about this in his video on Saturday. And generally speaking, when we get into these middle parts, especially baseball, these long seasons, we really start to see some of this stuff tail off as prices go down in season, as players underperform or just perform normally, but we put ultra high expectations on them. Ohtani stuff has been starting to tick up slightly. He had a hell of a week last week, but overall his stuff has not jumped a ton. Running through some individual players here. One player that has had a good last 30 days is Pete Alonso. His Topps Chrome rookie auto is up 44%, and his his Prism refractor is up 20%, but his base level refractor has not moved at all, and his X-fractor is only up 7%. So a lot of Alonso stuff is moving up, but a lot of stuff's also staying flat. Like I said, the auto had the biggest increase, and there were some other things that had pretty decent jumps for him as well. Moving along, we talked about it earlier. Trout, this is over the last 30 days. This is, you know, the world famous 2011 Topps update that there's a billion of. Started the 30-day period off, so at the beginning of June it was $2,500. It's down to $2,000 now, a 20% decrease. And he was having a pretty decent season. The Angels are kind of messy, but he was having a pretty decent season for a while. This card was over $3K, I believe, in the offseason. Let me blow this back 90 days and take it back to the beginning of April. Yeah, almost $3K. So since the season started, this card's down 30% from $3K to $2K and continues to fall. I've never been a Trout guy. I get it, but he just doesn't do anything for me. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I don't know. He just does not do anything with it for me. I just think it's because he's on the Angels and has never really had a memorable moment in his entire career other than accumulating outstanding numbers. I don't know. Soto, channel favorite Juan Soto, PSA 10 First Bowman Chrome has also taken a beating. This is over the last 30 days as well. This card has dropped 30% from 5.2K down to 3.8K. And continues to slightly trend down. This is another card that is on my radar for the National as something to look at. Probably not in a PSA 10 grade, but in something lower, it is definitely on my radar. The Soto market in general across the board, regardless of what you're looking at, is pretty soft. Talked about Oneil Cruz last week. This is just a classic case of the guy gets the call up, it spikes, and we could already see it starting to pull back. This is the last 30 days on him. You're up 65%. This is his first Bowman auto from 430 to 710. Currently, we can see it spiked up over 860 and has slowly been pulling back as he came up with a bang and then, shockingly, has slowed down, and we're starting to see the tail off on that one. Last but not least, one that we did talk about, and he has actually held relatively well, and I'm talking about Julio Rodriguez. This is his first Bowman Chrome prospect auto. This is sitting at $1,800 all the way back in, when is this, February. It was at $1,850. It's currently at $1,800, only a 2% decrease, has only been very slightly trending down. You can see it spiked when the news came out that he was going to start in the big leagues, pulled back, spiked back up again, pulled down right at the beginning of the season. He started really slow. He really struggled. This got all the way down to 1,700. I say all the way. It's really not that big of a drop. And then he's been pretty good the last, basically the rest of the season, honestly. He's kind of figured things out and kind of put things together. And it's just interesting to see his stuff stay flat. He is pretty hyped right now, and I could see him, I've talked about this with Filmington a bunch over the years. It feels like baseball only has so many slots for hyped names. Like, I could only accommodate so many. Like, before, it was Vlad and Soto and Tatis and Acuna and those guys. And now, you can kind of see markets like, okay, yeah, Acuna, he's cool. Stuff still sells really well. Don't get me wrong. You can see Soto stuff cooling off. Tatis has been hurt. I can see Julio Rodriguez becoming one of those guys. Wander Franco tried. Bobby Witt tried. They've both been meh so far. They're having decent seasons, don't get me wrong, but they're not playing up to what the lofty expectations that were put on them. J-Rod's actually having a pretty good year. I'm a little intrigued by him. He was my favorite of the bunch of all the young kids that we talked about in the early preseason when I had Filmington on and we were talking about prospects. So he was the one that intrigued me the most, just kind of reading about him, seeing him play a little bit here and there in highlights and stuff. So that's all I have for you guys and girls today on the old weekly sports card market update. Been doing these things for over 2 years now. What do we got for this week? I will be doing the June recap of grading data at some point in time. Maybe Monday, we'll see. I was going to take Monday off with it being the 4th of July, but we'll see if I get a chance to look at that data on Sunday. Maybe we'll record something. I also have a grading submission preview. I sent 5 cards out, 4 to one company, 1 to another company. So we have a dual submission, 4 cards going off to one place, 1 card going off to another place. That video is already recorded. That'll be up sometime this week. And then from there, we'll just kind of see. I'd like to do some sort of NBA free agency chit chat, but I'm going to wait for the KD trade to happen. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later, and kind of wait for some of the other pieces to fall. Where does he end up? Where does Kyrie end up? Where does Donovan Mitchell end up? Do the Cavs re-sign Colin Sexton? There's kind of a lot of things hanging out there that are all, I think, getting held up because of the KD deal. So we'll see how that shakes out. Maybe we'll talk about that this week if that stuff falls through, or happens rather. And then, Card Collector 2 trade night, I'll probably do a recap video on that. Probably not till next week. So I'm also contemplating, don't know for sure yet. I'm going to see how the National goes. And I applied for some stuff, but I might be going to another big show, another big venue, shall we say, either card or comic book related. It's not San Diego Comic-Con or anything crazy like that. I'm not that nuts to want to go to that thing, but got some feelers out there, trying to figure some stuff out. Might try to hit another big destination show, shall we say, here in the coming months as the year closes itself out. But yeah, that's in the works as well. So like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys and girls on the next one. Have a happy 4th of July. Don't blow any hands off or anything crazy like that. Stay safe. Peace.